Hello and welcome to another HRS training video. Today we are going to cover how to create a toggle button so that one button can execute two different commands, typically for like a power on and off. To do this, you'll need to create two macros, a logic statement, and use a variable. You will also need to have a device in your system. So we've already added our device, we have a display, and we're going to create a variable for the power state. And we're going to set a default value. This is just to set the variable to something when the system boots up so that it is at a specific value, either 1 or 0, or whichever you choose. So we'll save that. We'll create our macros. So we'll create a first macro, which is display on. And we're going to add two actions to that macro. So the first one is going to be the power on, and the second one is going to set the variable value. So we will get the power state, and we're also going to set that to 1. So 1 being on, 0 be off. And then we can actually copy this macro, and we'll edit it for display off. And we're going to change this to power off. And we're going to change the variable state to 0 instead of 1. Next, we will create our basic logic statement. So we'll create one, and this will be display power. And we will use the conditional block. So the nice part with the logic is we have a lot of these hotkeys already created and ready to go for most common uses. And for this one, we have them set up and ready. So we'll click an if block, and then we'll create an else if block. So we're going to say if power state equals 0, which is the off state, we're going to turn the display on. And if the power state equals 1, we're going to turn the display off. Pretty straightforward. So next, let's create our button, and we're going to add our button, and we're going to add a custom image to it. So let's go to our graphics, and we're going to have off, and we will have the on for the selected image. So when it's off, it'll be red, and when it's on, it'll be green. Now we want the button to show this state, so we're going to say for the selected options, when the power state equals 1, it'll show selected. So for the command for this button, we're going to simply add the command, and we're going to pick our system. We're not going to pick the display. We're going to pick our system, and we're going to scroll down to near the bottom and pick execute logic, and we're going to pick display power. And we'll apply our settings, and then we can open up the system to see the GUI portion. It'll take just a second here, and you'll notice we have our giant button. And when we click the power button, it'll turn green, and it stays green, so you can click other buttons and do other things. And when you click the off, it'll then switch it back to off. That way the user has a knowledge that the command is either on or off, and they can actually see that coming through. So that's the basics for a toggle button. Very straightforward and simple. They can be used for multiple different uses, not just power. And same with the logic and variables. They can all be tied in together. This is just a simple example of what can be done. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any further questions, please email us at support@hrscontrol.com. Thanks.